So I'm here with Vasek, and we're going to talk about Devbook, a tool that they open sourced. What did you say yesterday, today? Maybe you can explain what it does and why you decided to open source it, and then we'll go into monetization.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we open sourced it yesterday, yesterday. But actually, we launched about 6 months ago, and we had great community, and there has been a strong push from our community to make the tool more open. And to be frank, we were kind of scared about that at first because our community has a lot of requests, and we are just team of two, and we're afraid that it might destroy or might hinder with the focus. But overall, so far it seems like a good move. Obviously, it's just a few hours, literally. So yeah, and the reason we open source it is to see we see it as a better, of course, it's a better way to see what the community wants, as a better way to communicate with the community, not just through our server. Also, it's great for them if they want to voice their request for features. Having the tool in the repository and access to issues for them is definitely better than just writing it to our Discord channel where it might get lost.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I don't think they sent coding yet, but you got people submitting issues.
Yeah, that's correct. We have the first issue there. So internally we had this bet whether the first will come pull request or issue. I thought the issue might come.
Yeah, I'll take those odds too. I'm with you. Probably issues are easier than merge requests. So
yeah. So
maybe you can describe what the product does.
Yeah, definitely. So our goal with Devbook is to build something like a search engine for developers. We like to explain it as a Bloomberg terminal for developers. So this place where you as a developer get access to all the information you need to finish your and accomplish your coding tasks. Because as you definitely know, when you are working on a problem and coding, it's not just that you spend your time in your coding editor with your code. You very often need all this other information, all this other context to successfully implement the feature you might be working on. And it's anything from the documentation reference all the way to the Slack discussion you had last week with your team, where you were discussing something important.
Cool. So it's like documentation of the libraries I'm using. It's like Stack Overflow Q&As. It's open source code examples.
Yeah, exactly.
And does it also do code navigation, kind of similar to SourceGraph, or is that out of scope?
No, that's we are definitely not a code search tool. So there is no code navigation. We want to go integrate Devbook more into the coding editor as an extension and better understand what developer is doing in real time. That's for sure the way to go for us. But I don't think the goal here is to fully be like full code search. It's more like being able to integrate maybe some API from SourceGraph into Devbook. And it's more about search about all the other information you might need for this function, class, or a file, or maybe even some guide. So eventually the goal is to build a tool where developers can build and search in their knowledge base. It might be public, it might be team knowledge base, right from their coding editor.
Great, thanks for that. How can I help?
So I have basically 3 questions. First is about scaling a developer tool, and I would love to know how has been your experience with GitLab. So far, we managed to go to get to about 2,000 daily active users, and it has been mostly through word of mouth and sharing it on through on the various internet communities and subreddits. And the big question we basically have is what are the strategies that we can use to get to 20,000 to 200,000, because now it's starting to feel like the strategy we use so far is stopping to work. Just sharing the tool, it's no longer working. So we've been exploring things like like SEO or content marketing and things like that. And I would love to know what worked with GitLab, whether it was more about team and or individual developers.
Yeah. First of all, kind of be responsive, be part of the conversation if it's relevant to the company. So that's on Hacker News and probably on Reddit as Stack Overflow. The second is content marketing, and then think about what content resonates. So benchmarks always resonate with people, with developers, I must say. You can think about kind of what's called newsjacking. So there's something that is something that's talked about. I don't know, it might be, let's take something weird, the Apple with the privacy tracking things. And then you do an article about that. And this is a bad idea, don't do this, but you do like, hey, I saw the new Apple privacy thing, and how many seconds does it take me to find the relevant documentation? Or to find, and then you have an animated GIF that shows the clicks to get there. That's probably not a good content idea, but tie it to something that's happening right now because people want to read about that. Another content marketing thing that I think is effective and that we maybe at GitLab we should do a little bit more of is guest posts. So every organization has a blog. They all need more content. So offer to write something that's relevant to them. If you're really good with, if your Stack Overflow integration just became a lot better, offer to write a blog for them. And you can write it about your functionality, which is pretty narrow, but you can also do like an analysis, like you're crawling a lot of Stack Overflow. You can probably get some interesting statistics out and make a higher level article, but that way you can reach their audience. Like your own blog reaches your own audience, they already use you. So you're not going to get any new users. You want to be on other people's blogs, whether it's Stack Overflow or a vendor, or maybe your VS Code integration is really good, and you ask one of the Microsoft developer advocates whether you can do that. And then I'm not sure whether we're not good at that at GitLab, but anything you can do to make the product more shareable is nice. So maybe there's a perk that you can have people offer other people. Like as soon as you make it a paid product, people can give away 1 free month of usage by sharing a URL with a friend or something like that.
Got it. In the terms of the shareable feature, so do you have any experience or do you see there's a difference between shareable features for once your tool is used by some portion of a team, so you can get to more developers in that team versus get to more like completely new users coming from, let's say, like public internet?
Yeah. And spreading within an organization is easier, and it's probably very important too. At GitLab, we recently checked our sign-up flow. When you invite another team member, it took 25 clicks for someone to accept that, and the accept rate was below 2%, so it was really bad, and we were making improvements there. But for your tool, for example, I could see that sharing an example with someone is really important. So I don't know, I'm just going to give an example here, but I could see, okay, you have an answer, you want to share it with someone. There's a share link, you send it to someone, and they can see the answer, but maybe they can't copy paste it. And there's a like, if you click here, it's going to open up our product and you can copy paste and do all the other things you can easily do with our product.
Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Actually, that's has been one of the requested features. So you are very on point. Yeah, and do you feel like all this, for example, marketing, content marketing, like type of scaling, that is it applicable at some lifetime of a tool or business or company, or is it more like you can start doing it anytime and it would probably work anytime?
I think you can do it anytime, and I think it works anytime. And I think at GitLab, I'd love to invest more in it.
Yeah. Thanks. Okay, so the second question I have is about the monetization, and this is something we've been struggling with, and so currently Devbook is completely focused on individual developer, and we think that most of our revenue will come from teams, and we have some ideas for the team version of Devbook, but like we are afraid, and from what we heard when we ask other developers, other founders of developer tools, that monetizing developer tool that is based on growth with the solo developers is very hard, in a way that you can completely destroy your growth. And if you monetize your tool poorly, like you choose the wrong set of the features, and also like here finding the right alignment between building a tool that is very useful for individual developer and at the same time very useful for both for the team feels very hard. And for example, what we learned about Devbook and possible usage in teams is that it can't really be useful for the whole team unless it's really useful for individual developers. So because they first have to be using it so the team can like see the team features there. And it feels a little bit like if we start developing the team features right now, we are neglecting the individual developer. But unless we have to start developing the team features really soon so we can start generating revenue. So it's kind of like this, like kind of like chicken and egg problem. And I wonder if with GitLab it was anything similar, because I can imagine that it had to take some time to build those core features you need when you are doing any management, interacting with repositories.
I have a very extensive presentation on this. I recommend you view that. And it's called Buyer-Based Open Core, and it was given at Heavy Bit.
Great.
And we did all kinds of things. We monetized relatively late when it was already going for a few years. And the way we monetize is all the features that are the focus of individual contributors, those are free. Features that are the focus of directors are in our middle tier, and features that are the focus of executives are in our top tier. I think that's worked really well for us. Apart from that, I think SourceGraph is a comparable product, and they are very successful as a company. So I would have a look at what they do. They do free up to 10 users. You can just use this for free. 10 to 25 users, it's team, and you have to pay $150 a month. And above that, it's an enterprise subscription.
Got it. Yeah. Thank you. We'll definitely check the presentation. And the last question is very similar to the previous question, but more on the topic of fundraising. So we've been trying to fundraise our seed round, and what we hear very often, all the time, is that they like the traction we have and the numbers regarding the free users right now, but they always would like to see us having some teams that are already customers and already paying for the tool. But as I said, it feels like kind of counterproductive. Like it could harm the product if we start building the team features right now without the tool being really like helpful and loved by individual developers. And you just said that you started monetizing GitLab relatively later. So I would love to know what has been your experience raising, especially the first rounds.
Yeah, I bankrolled GitLab myself in the beginning. So I bootstrapped it, I put all my money in it, and that's how we kind of were able to monetize relatively late. It's not something I necessarily recommend. I think you want to work back from kind of when you're going to monetize. What are you going to monetize? You're going to monetize teams. You already said so. Okay, how many teams do you have? Well, 0, because we don't have the feature. So maybe you should allow people to create teams and use that for free, but then at least you can build that muscle. Like, how do we get people to kind of connect their different instances and sign up with their company email and everything else? Because otherwise you might kind of say, okay, well, I'm going to keep bootstrapping for a while and go to popularity. But then when it's time to turn on the revenue, it turns out that you only have individual users. You never got kind of organizations together. You never incentivize people to share and sign up their colleagues and things like that. So I'm not sure that's the right approach. It might also cause some confusion, like why is Teams not free now and not later? But I think that might be a way to not first have the delay of monetization and then have to figure out all that team functionality.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Thank you. That's all of my questions I had. If you had any question about Devbook or really anything else, I'm happy to. happy to answer.
Yeah, I think the developer market is a bit weird, as in there's some dev tools which are amazingly popular and don't make a lot of money, and some that are make a ton of money. So I think there's a bit of hesitance in the approach that investors take. So if you're fundraising, I would compare yourself to SourceGraph, and
find that reference point.
Find a good reference point, because there's a lot of dev tools that never got to significant monetization. So I think it's a logical and warranted concern of investors.
Got it.